the big main event at Slammiversary, a 4-way match to crown a new Impact Wrestling World Champion. Ace Austin is in. Eddie Edwards will be in that match, a mystery opponent that we do not know who that is yet. And the gentleman joining me now on the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline, he is part of those rascally rascals, and he is the final co-holder of the Wrestle Circus Big Top Tag Team Championships. He is our good friend Trey Miguel. Follow him on Twitter and Instagram at the Trey Miguel. Trey, how are things in the treehouse?
Things are a little smoky in the treehouse, Stu. How you doing over there in Texas? Is it hot?
It's a little smoky. I get that. Yes, it is. It is hot. You can imagine Austin, Texas in July. You've been down here in Austin in July.
I've been to Austin in July. And
you know how hot it gets.
I tell you what, I don't miss it right now. I don't miss it right now.
I bet you don't. Okay, so I think the question that is on everybody's mind: do you get good Wi-Fi in the treehouse?
Surprisingly, no.
No?
Surprisingly, no. You get a lot of footage after it's been filmed and edited because we can't directly just do it from the treehouse. It's too high if you get my drift.
Well, okay, I get that. I do remember, in fact, I'd gone to Whataburger for lunch, and I thought back to one of the last times.
You got to put that on me, Stu.
I know. We got to introduce you.
I haven't eaten today, and you're going to mention Whataburger?
I still remember you guys.
Right, I take back what I said. I would take Austin, Texas in July right now if I could get Whataburger.
I just remember the reaction when we took you guys to Whataburger on Barton Springs. It was like you had discovered the holy grail of hamburgers. It was fantastic. It made my heart happy.
I found the holy grail of spicy ketchup too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You were a big fan of spicy ketchup. Give me
I'm not lying. I'm not lying when I say Des and I tried to fly back with some, but we literally just left a bag of it in the hotel room. I planned on coming back home with spicy ketchup.
Well, you know what? If you're nice enough, maybe I'll see if I can scrounge up some Whataburger spicy ketchup and send it your way. How about that?
That'd be cool.
Before we get to everything in Impact, as I mentioned, you guys, I guess technically still, you and Zach are still, and you're the final Wrestle Circus Tag Team Champions. Give me a great memory from all the times you wrestled in Wrestle Circus.
Oh, man. I'll tell you about my first time there because it was the first time I got to experience Voodoo Donuts.
Oh, yes.
And Wrestle Circus meant a lot to me because Wrestle Circus was the first company that actually, within the United States, paid to put me on a flight to have me come wrestle for them. And at the time when that had happened, I was living with a big group of wrestlers who were going out and doing that themselves, and I just hadn't gotten invited yet. So when I finally got the invite, it really did mean so much to me. It's so bad because you just don't forget stuff like that because I consider that a big milestone. The first time getting put on a plane to fly states over to perform, and Wrestle Circus was the first company to reach out and offer me that. So they really do mean a lot.
Yeah, I believe me. As being in the home of the former Wrestle Circus, I get you, and I still I have great memories of seeing you and Zach and Des fighting down there at 800 Congress every month. It was fantastic. Let's go to Impact. You're in this main event. You've got a shot at the world title. The first thing that jumps out to me is the fact that Ace Austin is in this match. You and Ace had a very bitter rivalry. I was there in January when you guys almost tore up the building at Hard to Kill. Talk a second about what it means to have Ace Austin in this match with you and what your strategy, I guess, going into this match.
Ace and I have been at each other's throats for a long time. Dating back to even before January. I've known Ace even before Impact Wrestling, and it's just been a long time coming. And with having bigger stakes on the line now, it means more than it did in January. In January, was if we were sitting back in January and you asked me what that match was about to mean to me, I'd tell you that it'd be the most important match I've had yet. And fast forward 7 months later, and that's my answer for this. And I wouldn't have expected to be telling this story back in January, because I thought this was the end of it. Like, we're settling the score, but here we are. And I can't focus on Eddie. I can't focus on a mystery opponent. I have to finish what was never settled back in January.
Yeah,
that's where my mind is going into Slammiversary.
Talking with Trey Miguel from Impact Wrestling. You can't focus on, but what about having Eddie Edwards? He is a former Impact World Champion. He's got that skin on the wall. What kind of strategy will you have with Eddie Edwards should you two face each other in the ring, with him being the former world champion?
I couldn't imagine Eddie's mindset being much different than mine. Eddie's been to the top of that mountain, and he knows what it feels like to be world champion, and he also knows what it feels like to be disrespected by Ace Austin. And by no way am I negating the importance of winning the Impact World Championship, but I have to settle this score first. And my goal is to leave with the Impact World Championship, but the biggest picture for me is doing it by pinning Ace Austin. So between Eddie and I think it's going to be a race to who can pick Ace off first. And the mystery opponent might just end up refereeing a match that he didn't know was going to happen, because I'm gunning for Ace.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Like, I'm starting to shake thinking about the way I'm going to get Ace Austin.
Yeah, I remember him disrespecting you, Ace disrespecting your mother. That was some serious intensity that we saw. Speaking of the mystery opponent, do you have any clue about who this person could be? There has been a myriad of rumors going around about, could it be this person, could it be this person, it could be this. There's...
And when you think about the amount of people that are available to fill that slot right now, the possibilities are endless. It could be... We saw D'Lo talking to what was pretty obviously an Aces of Eights member. I could be wrestling anyone from the Aces of Eights. I could be wrestling D'Lo for all I know. It could be Eric Young. It could be anybody. It could be Suicide. It could be Ace Romero. I don't know. Suicide is Ace Romero. That is what it is. I don't care who knows that Ace Romero was Suicide.
Who was it? Rohit Raju was saying the same thing, that he says Suicide's Ace Romero. Do you believe that too?
I've never seen the two of them in the same match, in the same locker room, or even the same hallway.
Okay, yeah, I guess that's true. So, I suppose, why not? Hey, speaking of Aces and Eights, like as you said, looked like D'Lo was talking to a member of that insidious faction. Looked like he was maybe hinting at reuniting that faction. What do you think about the possibility that Aces and Eights could be coming back to Impact after all the havoc they caused during their run?
It's difficult to think about, because the last time I saw Aces and Eights on television, I was still watching as a fan, and I was a big fan of everything that they did. And now I'm in a position where I have to look over my shoulder and watch my back, because we're in the same buildings now, and it's not exactly an open invite to their clubhouse as it is our treehouse. We get down in two different kinds of parties, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know if we'll ever really mix.
That's very true. You're absolutely right. And that was their modus operandi. Was they never came to you face to face. It was always from behind your back.
They beat you with the numbers.
Yeah, and beat you with numbers. You're right. Talking with Trey Miguel. Again, follow him on Twitter and Instagram at @TreyMiguel. Let me ask you this, because you're from Ohio, and it seems, we always talk in the sports world that Ohio is such a great breeding ground for football coaches. Well, it seems that way too. Sure. with professional wrestling. Some of the most talented professional wrestlers have come out of the state of Ohio. What is it about Ohio that seems to lend itself to bringing out the best in wrestlers?
I feel like because we're right, it's where we are geographically. The East Coast is a very specific style opposed to the West Coast. They're very similar but very different in the same way. And I think the Midwest has kind of just been making hybrid wrestlers out of the best that the United States can offer, because Toledo, Ohio is where I'm from, specifically in Ohio. Toledo, Ohio is like number one in trafficking because of every major highway goes through it. So you can imagine the amount of wrestling talent that travels both ways through Ohio, and they know that they can stop in a million different places in Ohio to work, get training, pick brains, and it really is a breeding ground for making hybrid styled wrestlers. You know, they're technical, high flying, submission, like death match. I mean, guys from Ohio, and it's not just guys from Ohio, but speaking from my experience and being a trainer myself, I believe that's why we are, air quote, a hot spot for professional wrestlers.
It totally makes sense. I've only been to Ohio once. I covered the Pro Football Hall of Fame induction there several years ago. But you're right. It just seems like just a great hot spot for some of the best wrestling talent around. He is Trey Miguel. See him in the main event, a fatal four-way for the Impact Wrestling World Championship at Slammiversary, where he will face Ace Austin, Eddie Edwards, and a mystery opponent to be crowned the Impact Wrestling World Champion. Follow him on Twitter and Instagram at @TheTreyMiguel. Trey, it is so good to hear your voice, my friend. I miss seeing you around here. Hopefully, by the way, how is your mom? How's your family during all this craziness and this global pandemic stuff? How are they doing?
Everyone's really safe and good right now. Mom is good. My dad is good. Actually, this last year, we're celebrating 1 full year of him being cancer-free, so that was something that was really beautiful to celebrate this week. Meant a lot to my family, and thank you for asking about the health of my family. I really do appreciate that, and I hope everyone on your end is doing well, too. Absolutely.
Thank you, man. It like I said, it's so good to hear your voice. Hopefully, when all this stuff passes through and gets done, we can get together. I will buy you all the Whataburger free fancy ketchup you want, and burgers to go with it. But until then, please be safe, be well. Good luck in the Fatal 4-Way, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you so much for having me, Stu.